Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me. We are going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is kefir. And I wanted to explain a little bit more about how I got started with kefir, the product I used, which was different than kefir grains in the beginning, and kind of share with you how my journey began and how it kind of evolved. So I love kefir grains, but that wasn't where I started with kefir. What year was it? I don't know, it was 21 years ago that I found myself pretty sick. I was pregnant with my third child. She was born really early, 7-8 weeks early, because my liver was shutting down. I was very, very sick. And after I had her, she was so tiny. She was like 3-4 pounds. And so I was trying to find a way to stay healthy because I felt just horrible, and also to find a way to help make her well. And I was in a health food store, and I was looking around at some of the books because they had a lot of books and literature there. And I picked up 2 books off of a shelf, and I went and sat down on they had like a sofa chair there to read these books. And one of those books, which was Nourishing Tradition by Sally Fallon, opened to a page on kefir. And I didn't know what kefir was. I'd never heard of it. It just was something new, and I thought it was intriguing, so I read a little bit about it. And when I picked up the other book, which was Body Ecology by Donna, it too opened to a page on kefir, and then I was really started paying attention. And a store employee at that time walked by and said, "That's the most important book." He was talking about the Nourishing Traditions book, but he said, "That's the most important book you'll ever read. You should really pay attention." And well, then I was kind of like shocked a little bit, and I thought, okay, something's going on here. So I went and found kefir in the store, which was a ready-made kefir at the time. And I bought both of those books, and I started reading about it and started studying about kefir because it really wasn't that well known back then, at least in the circles I ran in. And so I started researching it. I started drinking it, and I started giving it to my preemie, and I started taking it. And after about 3 weeks, my little preemie had gained I think she gained like 4 or 5 pounds, which is a lot. And the color had come back in her cheeks. She wasn't spitting up anymore. She was sleeping through the night. And I was so shocked by this that I tried to find more information about it. And at that time, I remember I had been drinking it, and I remember this feeling of well-being had come over me that I had not known before. And the grass looked greener, the birds were singing outside, and I hadn't even noticed that before. And I was standing in the kitchen doing dishes, and I noticed that my bird feeder was empty, which I hadn't cared about weeks before. I was so not feeling well that I didn't give a rip about the birds. They could get their own food. But suddenly I felt so good that I was filling up on my bird feeders. I just couldn't understand what had happened to me. And my blood pressure had normalized. My blood sugars were stable. A lot of the problems I had were starting to go away. And I wanted to know what had happened to me. And that was my journey with kefir. But let me explain something to you. I was pretty much a wreck at that time. And I didn't start making kefir with live kefir grains. I started with powder packages. And I believe it was the powder packages from Body Ecology, because they have a kefir powder package too. And that's how I did it, because it was so easy for me. It was just a powder that you put in milk and you let it sit on your counter for 24 hours. You screwed a lid on it, and the next day you had kefir, and then you placed it in your fridge. And it was life-changing for me. I couldn't get over how beneficial it was for me and my daughter. But the main reason I'm telling you this is because it was easy for me to do. If I had to figure out how to do different types of using grains, I don't know that I would have started, because it would have intimidated me. Even though it's very, very easy, don't be intimidated. I can help you. It was the fact that it was so simple that that's the reason I did it. So, many years later, I make kefir with grains and I use easy kefir all the time, which is a similar type of a powder product that is made from live kefir grains. I developed my own type of powder kefir. I still liked Donna Gates is good, the one from Body Ecology. That's a good product. But here's the deal. I wanted to make my own powder kefir starter that was made from the actual grain, that didn't just have the kefir strains in it. I wanted to make sure it was made from the actual grains because I thought they were more powerful. So I got together with some great people, Cutting Edge Cultures, and we actually got the kefir that was made from flash frozen, they're not dehydrated, they're flash frozen grains and then ground into powder. So you're basically getting kefir made from grains, but it's just in a powder formula. So that is how I developed what I call easy kefir. We came up with that name because I wanted people to be able to make it. Because here's the deal. If people think it's hard, they're not going to make it. And I was the same way when I first started. And I love kefir grains. I make them in every day, but I love easy kefir too. I take it with me on trips. It's easy, it's accessible, it recultures all the time. It makes very consistent kefir. And, I just wanted to make sure that I had a product that had as many beneficial strains as the kefir grains themselves. And that is when you get more bang for your buck. So, it was interesting because this journey took a while. It took me a while to do this. And, I've been through so many different phases in my life, and so many people are busy. And so many people, having kefir grains is like having a pet. You got to care for them. You got to make kefir on a regular basis. If you don't, then they start to struggle because they don't like being in the fridge all the time. They can start to diminish. They can start to eat themselves because they're running out of food if you don't feed them all the time. When they get a little cold and sluggish in the fridge, and they can diminish quite a bit if you leave them in there too long. So for people who are super busy and who want kefir, this is the great answer because this is what I started with. And basically what you do is you have a little powder package. I have like 4 in a box. And you can also use Body Ecology's kefir. It's good too. But you just put that in a quart of milk, and it can be any kind of milk. And then you let it culture for 18, 24 hours. Usually it's 24 hours, depending on how warm your house is. And you'll see that it's turned thick and tastes sour, and that's how you know it's done. You might see tiny little pockets of whey, then you know it's done. You can just stick it in your fridge. And then what you do is you could take 1/4 cup of that quart of kefir, put it in another jar, add 4 cups of milk, let it ferment for 24 hours, and then you've got another jar. And you can do it over and over and over again. And it goes, it keeps going for forever, it seems like sometimes, unless your it's been in the fridge a long time and it's losing some of its beneficial strains. But it just reproduces over and over again, and it's very, very easy. And you don't have to make kefir every day if you don't want to. You can wait till, you get down to 1/4 or 1/2 cup and then make some more. So it's very easy. It's easy for people who are busy or who don't want to make kefir every day. And I absolutely love it. And I love kefir grains too. But I wanted to make something. Here's the deal. I really wanted something for myself and for other people that would give them all the benefits, but would allow them to make and drink kefir on a regular basis. Because if it's not easy, people aren't going to do it. And it has been so life-changing for me to have kefir every day. I've written tons of articles on the benefits of kefir, and I do nothing but continue to find more and more reasons to have this incredible food because it has the most probiotics of any cultured food out there. It's 50 plus. That's a lot. It has more potency. Most yogurts have 3 to 7 strains in them, 7 being probably the most. And you can see that when you look on the back of the cartons. And I love yogurt. I think yogurt's great. But I didn't get the benefits from yogurt like I did from kefir. I noticed that I would try other yogurts, and then some of my problems would start to come back. Kefir has significantly helped helps with things like blood pressure and blood sugars and joint pains, and all of those things would start to come back if I didn't have kefir every day. Now, fast forward many years later, I don't really have that problem anymore, although I take that back because I never stopped drinking kefir. I'm constantly drinking it. So I've just done it for 20 years. And, Easy Kefir has easily 3 billion live bacteria in every serving. And you can't get that in any other food. And kefir is just one of those magical foods. Now, here's the cool thing. Kefir grains will last forever. If you have kefir grains and you take care of them, I've had mine over 20 years. And they will keep reproducing and they will last your lifetime. And Easy Kefir lasts a long time, but it doesn't last as long as grains. So you need to decide, which one is easy for you, which one you think you'll do on a regular basis. Because if you do it every day, I make kefir every day. I mean, I have it every day and I make it every day because I have grains. But I have it every morning for breakfast. I'm getting ready to do a bunch of kefir ice cream, right, in not too long because I want to make some kefir ice cream and make some kombucha floats because we put ice cream in kombucha. But I like the kefir ice cream because it has so many benefits. And it has there's so many ways to use kefir because I make dips with it, I make cheese with it. Gosh, I guess, guys, I think I have 400 or 500 recipes on my website of different ways to use cultured foods and make them. And I just keep coming up with more and more because it's just so versatile and so easy to make. So one of the things I like the best about Easy Kefir is that it makes really good non-dairy kefir. It's harder to make some like non-dairy kefir is harder. It gets really watery. So it's sometimes harder to make because people don't think it's culturing right. But that's because nut milks are mostly made with water. So Easy Kefir tends to do a better, I think it tends to work better with non-dairy. And, most non-dairy milks have less than 8 carbohydrates in them. So remember, when you're making a non-dairy kefir and you're using Easy Kefir or grains, you need to remember that it needs at least 8 carbohydrates per serving. So if your nut milk doesn't have that, then you need to add a little bit of sugar that's not for you. Remember, it's not for you. It's for the microbes that are going to consume it. And then it's going to lower that carb count back down because kefir is about 1% or less sugar. It's very low in carbohydrates because the sour taste is what you get because the microbes have eaten the lactose out of the milk or the sugars out of the milk and give it that tart taste. I like to put date paste in my non-dairy kefir too. That's another great way to make it with Easy Kefir. You just put, I think it's either a half a teaspoon per quart or a teaspoon per quart, depending on how many carbohydrates you have in your milk. And that's in the non-dairy milks. Most regular milk all has plenty of carbs. But it's on every single recipe I have. And I think I have 16 or 17 different non-dairy kefirs. I love goat kefir. I just made some goat kefir the other day. I just love it. It's so good. And all of these, I have regular milk kefir, and I explain all the different types of milk you can use and what it can do. And it makes fabulous kefir for all of those different types of milks that you can use. And it works great with grains and it works great with Easy Kefir. But I just wanted to encourage you to try to, I'm trying to get you to make kefir. That's what I'm trying to get you to do. It's better than the store-bought versions, and let me tell you why. Okay, so if kefir is sitting on a shelf in your grocery store, you don't know how long it's been in there. You don't know what strains they've used. Did they use grains? What did they use? Did they just use the strains that are normally found in kefir? But there's 50 of them. So, and there's good yeast in there too. There's good yeast and good bacteria in there. So when you get it from the store, you don't know how they've made it. And you don't know how long it's been sitting on the store shelf. So it's not going to probably be as strong as it would be if you made it yourself. And it's a lot less expensive to make your own. You just need milk and a culture, and that's all you need in a jar. And then you can make your own kefir. So if I can get you to make it at home every day and make this a habit, it is life-changing, guys. I can't tell you the difference it makes in so many facets of my life, whether it be, blood pressure, blood sugar, digestion, elimination, my skin, my energy level. It keeps me from getting sick. It keeps, pathogens at bay. It keeps candida under control. I have an article called 7 Reasons I Drink Kefir Every Day. So I'll put that in the link below because I think that would really help you. But I want to tell you, it is a very important drink that has more probiotics than anything else you can find. And I just want you to try it because it's fantastic. And it's we just redesigned. The company that was making my Easy Kefir was in Canada, and they sold to a company in France. So they are now my distributors and the manufacturers of it, and they're doing a great job. We've redone the packaging. I love the quality control they have there and how hard they work to make really good products. And I love it so much that I'm actually developing a yogurt with them because of certain strains of bacteria that I really, really love that aren't necessarily found in kefir. So I'm working with them because they're doing such a fantastic job. If you've ever had any kind of cultured food in France, yogurt, they have some of the best yogurts in the world, and they're doing a really good job with my kefir now. So I'm really excited about it. And we actually redid the formula too, so that the batch lasts longer. It stays longer, it's more shelf stable than it was before. We still keep our packages in the fridge, but I love it. And there's a lot of good reasons to have kefir, and there's a lot of reasons to make it. But guys, it is so easy. You're just sticking milk in a jar, putting a powder package in, screwing on a lid, and letting it sit for 24 hours, and then you've got kefir the next day. It's done. And then you can put it in your fridge, and it lasts like months and months in your fridge. Because here's the cool thing about kefir. Kefir has so many good bacteria in it that it keeps out pathogens, and it makes the milk preserved perfectly. That's what it does. That's what it does inside of you. It keeps, the more good bacteria you have, the less things can affect you. Like, for instance, let me explain to you this. Candida is a yeast that's found in the body that we need. We need little amounts of it because it digests heavy metals that our regular digestive system cannot handle. But it's supposed to live in a corner, okay? And what keeps that candida in a corner is the good bacteria because it crowds it. It pushes it back to where it's supposed to be. So when you have kefir all the time, it controls that. It keeps so much good bacteria growing in your gut that things that are, can turn into pathogenic will stay in their rightful place. And that's why I love kefir, because it just does that. And I don't have to do candida cleanses, which, by the way, don't work very well, because if you don't have enough good bacteria in your gut, you're never going to keep that in control. So that's one of the powerful reasons that you need to have kefir, to keep the things that need to stay in balance, which your body knows how to do if you give it the things it needs. It's supposed to have a huge amount, 10 trillion good bacteria in you, to keep everything else in balance and keep you in balance by keeping pathogens in their place or exiting the body. And that's one of the things I love about kefir, is it kind of does that without me knowing. There are so many functions, guys, in the body that we're not aware about. How does our eye focus? How do our legs move them? We walk and run. And how do our kidneys, filter so many toxins out of our body, and our liver? There's so many functions going on, and a lot of them are really controlled by bacteria. That your immune system is, it will make more types of, what do they call them? Is it T cells that will fight viruses, foreign invaders? The more good bacteria you have, the more of those you have. T and B cells, they all alert the system when there's something in the body that shouldn't be there. And the more good bacteria you have, the more you have of those immune helpers that keep your body running smoothly. So all of this is just a ploy to get you to eat kefir. I don't care how you eat it. I just want you to eat it. You don't have to buy my Easy Kefir. This is not a plug for it. It's just a way to help you. Well, it is a plug, but it's more about you drinking kefir. I don't care if you get kefir grains from your friends or if you buy another culture package of kefir. I just want you to make it because it's so life-changing. It'll make you happy too. It makes you feel better emotionally. It keeps things in balance in your brain. Because your body it's got the vagus nerve that goes from your gut to your brain. And we need those things in our body to keep us in balance. And the more good bacteria we have, the better we function and the happier we are. So if you're happier, you make this world a better place, and that helps everybody. And that's what I'm trying to do with my website. I know what it's like to be in sickness and despair and fear. It's awful. It's a horrible way to live. You're scared all the time. You feel terrible all the time. You don't have energy. You don't want to feed your birds. You don't care about them because you're too tired to do anything. And if you are one of those people, I have been there. I know what that's like. And never in a million years did I think the answer to my prayers would be a jar of a probiotic drink called kefir. I just never in a million years thought that that would be the answer. And 20 years later, it's still the answer. I've gone through all the stages of my life with childbearing and menopause and all of those things. And kefir has been a constant that has helped me through a million different things that I have gone through, and has kept me stable and kept me happy and kept my body functioning the way it should. And that's what I'm trying to do. I think it can make all the difference for you. It certainly has for me. And if you could see all the emails and things I get every day, it is an amazing food. And it's just food. It's not a drug. It's not even a supplement. It's just a food that's enjoyable. And that's why I have a bazillion recipes. I just did I think I just did an article about cooling down with cultured foods in the summer. I'm getting ready to do a kefir ice cream blog, because this is who I am. This is how I live my life. And so I'm just sharing with you the things I do every day in hopes that I can help you feel better, because when you feel good, you do good. And when you don't feel good, you're missing out. You're missing out on life. And I was missing out. And I don't want that for you. So this is just my ploy to try to get you to drink kefir. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. And even if you buy it at the store, it's better than not drinking it. Just do whatever you got to do, because kefir is an amazing thing. Check out all my recipes on my blog. I have a gazillion of them. And we're coming out with I think I've coming out with it maybe this Sunday, or this podcast will come out Tuesday. So the ice cream blog will be up before this. So check that out, because it is delicious ice creams that I'm making. And check out my kombucha floats too, because they're so good for you, and they're a fun summer treat. They keep you healthy, and they're delicious, and they're easy to make. So thanks for listening to me ramble on about kefir. It is one of those things that came into my life that changed everything for me. And I want that for you too. So you guys have a great week. Thanks for listening, and check out kefir. It is life-changing. I have a million different reasons to encourage you to do it, but I'll stop with that. So have a good week, guys, and we'll see you next week.